first time ever a devout evangelical Christian has been nominated to be the next U.S. ambassador to Israel. Why did President-elect Trump appoint Mike Huckabee to the post? How does Huckabee's faith inform his heart, not just for Israelis, but for Palestinians as well? And what's his biggest fear as he prepares to move to Israel? An exclusive conversation with incoming ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, tonight on the Rosenberg Report. This is my favorite pick. There's been some great nominations that President-elect Donald Trump has done this week. Most of them astonishingly, all of them actually astonishingly good, but none am I so excited about is to have the #1 host of a TBN show and a devout evangelical Christian, Mike Huckabee, to be the next U.S. ambassador to Israel. Ambassador designate, how are you? It's good to see you, and congratulations.
Well, Joel, I'm still in shock. I mean, this was very unexpected, and I didn't see it coming, even though there had been some people who had said to me, gee, I hope you get appointed, you know, and I'm thinking, yeah, well, that doesn't mean anything, and I've got a busy life. I've got a lot going on. And so it came out of the clear blue for me. But it's a bit overwhelming, and yet I'm grateful to God for what I believe to be an extraordinary opportunity. And Joel, you and I have had so many conversations through the years, and you know my love for Israel, my passion for the people of Israel, having been there so many times since 1973 during my first trip there. So in so many ways, of anything that I could have been asked to do, this is the one thing that I sort of had to have that Isaiah moment and say, here am I, send me.
Yeah. This is historic, and I want our viewers to understand that our main excitement here isn't primarily because the star of TBN is going to become the point man on U.S. Israel relations, which is a fantastic thing. But there's really two historic elements here that our audience should know, right? The first is that no American president has appointed a Gentile to the position of U.S. ambassador to Israel in about 20 years. You have to go back to George W. Bush's term to see this. It's been Jewish people every time, and that's not a bad thing. I say that as a Jewish person and as a dual U.S. Israeli citizen. I'm not criticizing that. Now, some were better than others, but that was because of the policies of whom they were representing, not because of them. So all people of character. My favorite, of course, has been David Friedman, who literally the best U.S. ambassador to Israel and served the whole 4 years of the Trump administration that has ever served in the 76.5 years of the relationship. So you've got big shoes to fill. So this is the first time that a non-Jew has gotten appointed. Congratulations for that. But I think more importantly is actually this is the first time that a devout and avowed and unabashed and very public evangelical Christian leader in the United States has ever been appointed to this position. And I think that's extraordinary. And I wondered if you would comment on that, because I think it speaks to how highly President-elect Trump values the evangelical element within the U.S.-Israel relationship.
I think it is significant, and President Trump clearly knows that the evangelical believers of America voted for him 89% in this last election. They were a real key part of the re-election. He also recognizes, as do many American Jews, that evangelical Christians in the United States support Israel probably more solidly than most American Jews do. And I hear that not only in the U.S., but I hear it in Israel when I'm there. And it's said by Israeli officials constantly. But in a way, here's what it's saying, and the reaction that has been so positive in Israel has been a blessing to me. But it's a reminder to the rest of the world that while Israel is unapologetically and devotedly a Jewish state, as it should be, it is an open government, and it is a government that is not hostile and in any way unfriendly toward people who may not be Jewish. They just want to make sure that you recognize that they have a historic indigenous right to the land that they are currently and forever will be calling their home. So it's not lost on me that this is a big opportunity to say to the world, for all of you that say Israel is an apartheid state, let it be said, it isn't. For anyone who wants to say, but Israel is very prejudiced toward people who aren't Jewish, look at the reaction to my being named. It defies that. And it's such a wonderful statement, both on President Trump's part, but also the Israeli people part, to say, you know, you're coming not to convert us and to try to persuade us. It's not a religious appointment, it's a diplomatic appointment, but you have a love for the country, a love for the people, and you understand the unique role that Israel plays in the affairs of the world.
Amen to all of that. Your passion for Israel goes back, as you just mentioned, more than 50 years. I think did you just say you were 17 or so when you first came here to the Jewish state? And I think you've been here more than 100 times. Do I have that right?
You do. It's either just short of or just north of 100 times. I mean, it's been many, many times over these almost 52 years. One of the first calls of congratulations I got was from the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. And it was such a pleasant conversation because he and I have known each other for over 30 years. He invited me to come and campaign with him for his reelection as Prime Minister back in 2018. So we've had a delightful friendship. I know he was relieved.
This underscores the unique role that you have. Every person coming in to serve an American president as his main emissary on the U.S. Israel relationship, their personal life and their character and their history with Israel is going to be scrutinized. But more so with you because you're an evangelical and because Jews, many Jews, certainly more American Jews, but Israelis as well, are curious, sometimes skeptical, sometimes resistant because they're not sure. Do evangelical Christians love us unconditionally? Meaning, do they believe in Jesus? Yes. Would they like everybody in the world to believe in Jesus? Absolutely. But is their love and support for Israel and the Jewish people predicated or conditioned in some way on whether a Jewish person or a Muslim would believe in Jesus? And you really exemplify the evangelical spirit, which is biblically unconditional love. Right? Jesus, when he fed the 5,000 in Galilee, he didn't tell people, if you're going to follow me as the Messiah forever, get in this line, you get your chow. And if you're not going to follow me, go find McDonald's or Taco Bell, right? I mean, so I think you do a really winsome job, Mike, or Ambassador Designate. I guess I should get
Mike
I should get in the zone here. Okay, but you really capture and I think exemplify that heart of love and kindness and warmth, which, I saw in the last time you were here was when you and I co-hosted the Evangelical Leadership Solidarity Mission in December, the first high-level evangelical delegation since October 7th, and not whether it was with the hostage families that we met with, or going to some of the border communities that have been just savaged by Hamas, or our private conversation with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the warmth, the relationship. People know you and they trust you here.
Well, that's comforting to me, and I think I've been able to articulate that my position, not so much as a potential ambassador, but just as a human being and as a Christian believer, is that I understand full well that everything of my Christian faith is predicated upon our common acceptance of the Bible. Without it, without that adherence to the Scriptures, there is no faith. When I read Genesis 12, and I'm reminded that those who bless Israel will be blessed, those who curse Israel will be cursed. I say that often because I want to remind people that if we really are biblical in our approach to faith, as I am absolutely unapologetically, then this gets to be an easy thing. Am I supportive of Israel? Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Why? Because I believe the book. It's as simple as that.
But first, I want to say that in Israel's darkest hour, a lot of people are asking me, how can we help? How can we support Israel in its time of greatest need and be part of that biblical mandate found in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, where God is speaking of blessing those who bless the people of Israel, the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Well, a great way to do it is to partner with our sponsor of today's edition of the Rosenberg Report, ARTSA. Go to artsabox.com. Use the discount promo code RR15, Rosenberg Report 15, to get a 15% discount off the price of your ARTSA box. They are literally a taste of the Holy Land, and they come directly to your home in a beautiful box that contains potpourri, a range of all kinds of products made in Israel by all kinds of Israeli artisans, entrepreneurs, and small business owners. You're going to love them for yourself, for your family, and they make great gifts as well. Check it out. Go to artsabox.com, use the discount code RR15, Rosenberg Report 15, and I have no doubt that you'll love these boxes, these ARTSA boxes, as much as Lynn and I do. How did this actually happen?
I'm not sure I can tell you how it all came to be, but I did not apply. I did not lobby President Trump or suggest to him that I really wanted this position. Never mentioned it to him. And there were other people that I know had said, oh, I hope he appoints you ambassador. I'm thinking, yeah, well, you know, I'm pretty full right now with my dance card. I don't really have anything else on my agenda. So it was not something I expected. I fully believed he would probably reappoint a person with whom I share your affinity, David Friedman, who is a very dear friend. Our families have vacationed together the last 3 summers, in fact. We're very close. Wow. He was one of the very first people who called me with not only congratulations and warmth, and he said the most positive things, but I think he wants to do something in the Trump administration, but maybe something that doesn't require him to be overseas full time. So we'll keep seeing him for sure. I was floored. I did not expect it. President Trump called. He told me, I want you to be the ambassador to Israel. Wow. And I'm looking forward to you saying yes. It's just a privilege. And I really feel it as a calling from above, to be able to be in this position at this very point of time when Israel needs to know that they have absolute friends who will not be behind them, because that means way behind them most of the time, but rather will be with them.
You've gotten a lot of criticism already for your views that Judea and Samaria, what the rest of the world typically calls the West Bank, is biblical heartland Israel. That, you know, I don't know if you've said it this way, but Tel Aviv isn't in the Bible, but Judea and Samaria very much is. This is much of where Jesus and the apostles spent his time, much less the Jews of the Old Testament. So what's your position on that? And more importantly, what's the president's position?
I can't speak wholly to the president's position. And of course, once I'm confirmed as ambassador, that's all I'll be able to speak to, because an ambassador doesn't get to put forth his own positions or plans. But I have been very clear through many, many years of my travels to and from Israel that I don't use the term West Bank, because that's a term that doesn't mean anything. I use the terms that are biblical, Judea and Samaria. I don't talk about occupied territory, because the only people who are occupying it are the people who have title deed to it for the past 3,500 years, when Abraham was handed this deed by God himself. So there are some things that, for me, as a person of the book who believes the Bible to be authoritative, that I don't have an option, but I have to stick to the biblical language, because that's the language that has survived history. And it really is the language that ought to be the framework for our understanding of this unique little piece of real estate, sort of a sliver in the midst of a territory surrounded by some who would love to see it disappear. All the more reason that we have to push back against that and the anti-Semitism that has been so prevalent, even in the United States, which is utterly disgusting. And that's why we need to show the people of Israel that they really do have friends in high places.
What is your message to the Palestinian people? I know you're not in a position right now, especially in this transition, to sort of talk about policy, but just in terms of your values and how you view the Palestinian people and the suffering that they have gone through, obviously, under Hamas in this horrible year.
Yeah, and I'm speaking strictly on a personal level, not speaking policy here. But I feel it's very important that we understand that human rights know no boundaries, no ethnicities, no religious barriers. Every human being on the planet deserves to be treated with respect and dignity. Some of the most incredibly important things that I've seen happening for the Palestinian people have happened because of economic opportunities that were brought about by private sector companies, best jobs that many of the Palestinian people have ever had, that paid them great wages, benefits. The way to overcome many of the conflicts is that there become a recognition that those who are, let's say, maybe historically Jordanian or historically Arabic, you know, they may identify now Palestinian, but that's really a relatively modern term, mostly created by Yasser Arafat. I mean, there's not a Palestinian country that has existed historically. So I get in trouble sometimes for mentioning that, but it's just a fact. But the people are deserving of the highest level of respect. They, on the other hand, must recognize the right of Israel to exist, the right of Israel to protect itself and to be safe, and the degree to which there can be a real desire to see not a two-state government solution, but a two-people humanitarian opportunity. That's the future, where people have economic opportunity. They may be Arabic in their ethnicity. They may be Muslim in their faith. They may be Christian if they're Arabic, because there are quite a few Arab Christians, as you well know. But to be able to say, we can live peacefully and coexist with our Jewish neighbors because we're all going to live in a land in which we want to have freedom, we want to have safety and security for our families, we want to have good jobs, and we want to be able to contribute something to our neighborhoods and to our world.
Well, amen. So last question, what worries you most as you come into this position in a time of Israel's darkest hour? I mean, this has been, bar none, the worst year Israelis have gone through in the modern prophetic rebirth of the state of Israel, the sovereign state of Israel, and you saw it firsthand when you were here.
I still think that the centerpiece of all of this is going to be Iran. And if they can be somehow internally bankrupted, which is what Donald Trump was doing when he was president the first time. He didn't have to bomb them. He was bankrupting them. By the maximum pressure of the sanctions that were imposed against them, they were unable to generate the kind of money that they've generated in this last administration because all those sanctions got removed. Well, what was the result of that? They started turning billions of dollars in selling oil and selling other products that they couldn't do under the sanctions when Donald Trump was president. What did they do with that money? Did they enrich their people? Did they build streets and curbs and gutters and schools and universities? No. They gave it to their proxies, the Houthis, Hezbollah, to Hamas. And what did they do with it? They killed innocent civilians and they murdered them and they massacred them. That is on the Iranians, the Iranian government. The Iranian people are wonderful people, and I think they would love nothing more than for this government of the mullahs to go away. My worry is that there will be a lot of world pressure for people to just acquiesce. They can't. Israel can't. It must not. But the United States must show its solidarity with Israel. And I hope that that leadership will extend to the rest of Europe, Asia, and the rest of the world, and people will see that you cannot reward the kind of terrorist activity that has been funded by the Iranian government and somehow get away with that.
Well, I would say preach it, brother, but now you're shifting into a more diplomatic role than, but thank you. Ambassador Designate to the State of Israel, Mike Huckabee, thank you so much for your friendship. Thank you for your love for, and unabashed love, outspoken love for Jesus, the Word of God, Israel and the Jewish people, and the neighbors. And again, congratulations. I'm not as shocked as you, I guess, but I didn't think you were shocked. I just assumed you'd be telling us, well, it'd been a process for a while, and you know, and that it sort of came together. And but you, along with an evangelical Christian as Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, a wonderful friend, and I'm very happy about that position. Pete Hegseth, whom I don't know personally, but another strong evangelical Christian at Defense, and all the rest of these national security and foreign policy appointments. It is a very encouraging team for anybody that believes in America first and American strength, peace through strength. So I'm so glad you're a key part of that team. And one last thing. I can't remember the last time an American president announced his ambassador to Israel pick before the Secretary of State, before the Secretary of Defense. I mean, that shows what Trump thinks about the relationship with Israel and about you, and that was a very powerful message. So again, congratulations. Lynn and I and our team look forward to welcoming you back to Jerusalem very, very soon. Thank you, Joel. What an honor to be with you. God bless. And may the peace come upon Jerusalem, and as we say, next year, in Jerusalem.